Hey everyone, hope everyone's well today and having a great day. The weekend's coming up. If you're American, if you're from the US, happy Independence Day. I think it's a holiday, it must be a holiday, so I hope you're enjoying that. I actually put a post on my community post for you as well because I really appreciate you. So Jay Slater, is this Rolex watch a watch or is it DRUGS? Now, the reason I've hopped on is because if you've not seen all the parts, which is 1 to 5 till now, it is probably a great idea to look at those because they're not repeated reads, and a lot of what I've said in the reads has been coming out, okay? Whether it's been proven yet or not, it's been coming out. So after we did the last part, which I believe was I think it's part 5, it would have been the last part. So if it was part 5, this is part 6. If it was part 4, this is part 5. I did an energy check-in, didn't I, around the case, and I actually, because I haven't looked back, but I recall stuff, and some things I totally forget when I channel, but some things stick out to me. And if you remember in that read, I remember clearly I had the Queen of Swords in reverse, and I had there was the Eight of Swords and the Two of Cups, and I mentioned about someone is not recognizing the importance of alliance and harmony and actually being quite bitter and cold and resentful and rejectful towards what should be an alliance. And I really felt this strong. It's to do with maybe the family and the British press or whatever there, a lot around the family, and I was getting the mother against maybe the Spanish cops. If you've not seen that read, it's the last one, I would check it out. And I also spoke about, I don't know if it's down the river or up the river, Paul Arnott, disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. So I think whether since my last read till now anything has started bubbling around him, if it has, then we've already predicted that, and if not, it will be. So people will be starting to question a few things, whether it's been seen on my read or just in general, it's something I predicted, and I was trying to highlight a few things in question. I did have a comment that someone totally disagreed with me in terms of I don't want to call him by his name, that's why I wish I knew if it was down the river. Let's just call him Rapid River. Okay, so you know who I'm talking about, and that he's a really good guy, okay? And that's totally fine, because what this platform is it gives everyone the space to say what they disagree with, but in a constructive way, and view their view, but not in a toxic way. So I'm the type of person, I can sit at a table with someone who has a strongly different opinion towards me. Not towards me, sorry. You have to like me to sit you have to like me to sit at this table. A strongly different opinion against something, and I feel the other way, and I can sit there and I can understand why they're seeing it that way, and not many people can. And I'm not just talking because I can read energy or I can understand what maybe they're coming through, but I might have a view because I have some unsolved healing, etc. But unless obviously it's something like coming to a formalization of someone who's committed the unaliving act and we're sat to really make sure this person's brought to justice, then I'd still be able to sit there, but you know, we don't move on our opinions. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So again, this is the same for this read, but I try to put a perspective in where, you know, in mayhem and awareness, people can get lost. And So we did that read, or I did that read, part 5, I think it was, where I tapped into the energy. And the first thing that came out was the police's energy, and then that came out. Interestingly, I think it was 2 days later, there was a statement by the mother released. So it would have been the last family statement that she had released. And I'm going to read the statement out to you. But basically, in that, there's a realization of needing to, I hope I don't forget every single thing that I want to say on this, because there's a lot of stuff that is vocalized, and under it there's an undertone of a hidden thing that, like the watch is one thing, which I'm going to get to. Let me read the statement and let me hopefully come back to what I want to say. I'm just making a note of it. I've made notes, but like there's so many intricacies and undertones. So the statement is, my son Dean Slater came to holiday island of Tenerife on the 13th of June with his friends to attend the music festival. On the 17th of June, after not returning to his apartment, he was reported as a missing person. Jay is a normal guy who is in his 3rd year of apprenticeship. He's a very popular young man with large circles of friends. That is obviously stated because of all what was going on about Jay and his past, which I also want to touch base on the past thing in a moment. We are a very close family and we're absolutely devastated about his disappearance. Of course they are, and I do believe that. Words cannot describe the pain and agony we are experiencing. Now, some of you that are tuning in are probably thinking, I thought I was tuning into a psychic, not someone who's an investigator. Well, this channel brings you the psychic element, but I'm a realist, and honestly, some people might find me a bit harsh in the way I come across because I'm quite honest, and I don't fluff things up, and I don't add drama like organs being sold and a pirate boat was waiting, and apparently this made me laugh. Apparently there is a boat that has been missing for 8 days, but I just added that in a comment when someone had mentioned that someone had read that there's, I don't know if it's astronomology or numerology, that there was organ trafficking, which can happen. I think it more or less, I've heard in the past, years ago, it used to be like the pirates, a lot of them. So I just added in from my own stuff, like, oh, what happened? Did they kidnap Jay and then they took him quickly to the pirate's boat? But we know he went to Masca. So I put different stuff, but I added the boat. And since then, there is apparently a boat that's missing. So a lot of people, like, I've not eased people's trauma and pain from seeing that reading. I did not know, right? Okay, let's go back to this statement. Words, that person, by the way, I would not be surprised if they also did a numerology or astronomology or a read, or claiming the psychic abilities, that Princess Catherine was dead between like December until maybe 2 months ago, their very first read or something like that, or if they've done one read and it's not been deleted, that she probably was dead and her body hidden in a dungeon with gremlins guarding it or something. Let's get back to the statement. So he's a popular young man with a large circle of friends. We are a very close family and they're devastated. Words cannot describe the pain and agony that we are experiencing. He is our beautiful boy with his whole life ahead of him, and we just want to find him. Now, when you're a mother or a father, regardless, the amount of parents and even child and parent that have so much pain from trouble, addiction, mental health, jail time, justice, whether it's parents to child, child to parents, but still it's your mum or your son, etc. So I totally believe that. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. As well, before I forget, let me know in the comments whether you think this is a Rolex watch like stated, or is it DRUGS and that's to come out. I'm going to touch base on that in a moment. We do not have any information on his whereabouts. The Guardia Civil have worked tirelessly. This is where the alliance part has come out. In the mountains where Jay's last phone call was traced, they conducted a land search for 12 days, which involved every resource they had available. They actually did it up to 13 days, because 13 days was the day they called the volunteers in, which no one had any gratitude for those volunteers. And if I was a volunteer out in that sun, and yes, I know Rapid Rivers was frustrated, they started very late in the day, the sun was already out. I absolutely agree with him, starting at sunset, getting your act together. But you're not going to get anywhere alone because you don't have the equipment. So if you're walking around that Airbnb at the top skirts all the time, yes, you could, if God says it's time for Jay to be found. But this is where we have to have patience. It's like when you go to, I don't know if anyone's lived abroad, especially abroad. When you go abroad and you go into like government departments or civil. And it's even here sometimes, right? There's a difference between the service you get on the private sector and the government sector. And when you go to the government sector, you need to bite your lip and you need to sit there until someone sees you. Or for example, you go to the doctors and they're like, we'll try and squeeze you in 15 minutes. And you sat there an hour later and you're kind of like, you told me I'd be in by this time. So you get frustrated, but you need to see the doctor. So it's kind of like trying to balance out your frustration. And you're right to express your frustration, but you're not going to get anywhere unless you see that doctor for what your symptoms are. So they've worked tirelessly up the mountains, 12 days, which is actually 13 days. The volunteers, although the land search ended, the police still continue their investigation into why Jay had travelled the location so far away from his accommodation. In my reads, I mentioned that they would be investigating at the back end. So even if they're holding the cards close to them, there will still be an investigation. Whether they've allowed a couple of pennies to drop, we don't know about that, but some of my reads indicate what they're thinking, what they're doing. We offer our sincere thanks to Spanish authorities, the Alliance, who continue to follow lines of inquiries. We would like to say to the press, news reporters, that although we do not want to lose the momentums of Jay's disappearance, we would like to maintain our privacy and crucially let the Spanish police get on with the investigations without hindrance from the press. Something I mentioned as well, all this is going to be hindrance. I also mentioned that where she's put, we don't want to lose the momentum. I said when something hits the media in this heightened thing, it puts pressure on police regardless, like to be at top notch. And then I also mentioned people from England or Britain or news reporters that are kind of like mixing up titles or saying, go find this, go find that, they need to start new, and just as if there's orders. No. So we're aware of the conspiracy theories and speculation on social media and some websites and can only describe this as vile. The negative comments are extremely distressing from our family. Fair enough. I bet there is horrid comments because there are people that are just horrid. They get their 1 minute satisfaction. Doesn't last, because I don't want to go down the road of something within them and then they have to do another comment to feel that buzz again. But there's questions, and we can see the questions that are unraveling and why. And now the mainstream media is catching on when social media and people we've already said stuff. I think there wasn't, when I did my first reading, I don't think a lot of psychics did a reading. When I did my third reading and I was mentioning clearly what I think happened and when it happened in Jay's energy, when he lost the energy, I don't think many people did a similar reading or was getting that energy. That energy's opened up. And now you need to understand or see who you feel fits genuinely or authentically for you when you look at content. But a lot of people do like that added spice and drama. I really want to check if my phone is recording. Can I just do that a moment? I think I'll be fine. I'll be fine. We also embrace the love and support we've received from across the globe, but has not gone unnoticed, especially in his hometown. Oh, here we go. Oswald Twistle. I said it in previous reads. It just looks a bit of a real tongue twistle here. Lancashire. As a family, would like the world to respect our privacy at this time. Voila. I think it was a few hours later. I don't know, because at the end of the day, I was just looking at thumbnails and I thought, I saw Mark Williams, the ex-detective's picture, and it was saying about a stolen Rolex watch. And then I kept seeing thumbnails of a Rolex watch, Rolex watch, Rolex watch. And how I saw this was a thumbnail saying the family release have broken their silence and released a statement. So I think it was a few hours apart, and then Mark Williams releases a statement that's sort of like, basically, this is not proven, all right, but Jay's friends have stated that he stole a Rolex watch and he left the Airbnb frightened. But at the same time, it's not proven. So the friends are saying if he said that to them, there's no reason for him to lie. So now we have a Brad who spoke to Isla. Is it Isla? And he had said, yeah, he was all right. He was kind of like laughing and joking, look where I am and stuff. And they realized it was a 14-hour walk. Like I said, I believe he went to north to the next sort of pinpoint, whether he thought that that was it, but he was aware it was a 14-hour walk. Landmark, maybe to see if he can get a bus or something. And he left the Airbnb frightened. Now, did his friends say that, or is that added? And I think he's trying to say the friends stated that. So now people are probably going to say, did he steal it? And that's when he went with the men? Or did he steal it from the men? And if he stole it from the men, it would make sense why he wanted to leave like an hour and a half later. And I still think there's a possibility that maybe they slept and he was like, I want to go, like, I'm going home. I've got my stash. I came to smoke a bit. I've got my stash. And especially, that's where I asked you, do you think it's a Rolex watch or do you think it's DRUGS? And slowly in time, they're going to say, actually, you know, they fed us a little bit. There was a stealing going on. It was DRUGS, because no one's going to disclose that. No one's going to come forward and say, yes, I have a stash that was stolen. If it's a Rolex watch that was stolen from the Airbnb, not from someone prior in the nightclub, then it probably would have come out from those two guys that a watch was stolen prior, because they would notice it. Now, if the watch was stolen at the nightclub, which I don't think it was, the person might have reverted back to the nightclub and said, you know, I left my watch, I've lost my watch. And so they would be able to maybe someone come forward for it. But it's not, I don't think it's been claimed, from what I understand. So what gets me about this is, firstly, if you've seen my read, I mentioned about this whole needing to really work with Alliance, and it's come out. Then we had Mark, the few hours later, Mark's statement, I feel, is really trying to break a little bit of news to, and my left ear is burning right now, to the public in terms of people that have supported the GoFundMe be like, I wonder, okay, should I have supported the GoFundMe? And some people are going to be like, well, his lad is taken that, but we still need to find him. Remember, I've done a part on the GoFundMe and I mentioned about debt. I mentioned certain things. And also, I'll come to another part in a moment. So let's watch this space as to what comes next. But then this thing about being frightened and leaving the Airbnb, is that to project the element of stealing, play on heartstrings, and project the spotlight from what has happened to Jay to try and put it maybe on the guy at the Airbnb. Now, the guy at the Airbnb apparently has a past. If you saw my reading when I said, let me check in on them, and I said, I don't see that, you know, they've M-U-R-D him, M-U-R-D-E-R him, E-D. Let me try that again. M-U-R-D-E-R-E-D, him, right? Jay. But one of them has a really high name in the game, is a jack of all trades, and now this is coming out. So anyone that came on the channel when I first did the reading was like, I don't know what, I got some stupid comments, only a couple actually. One was like, yeah, all the psychics will now be starting to copy, or something like that. I know I've done so many parts covering different stuff, and someone else saying something else, just ignorance, okay? And I know a lot of crime documentary podcasters or statement analysis will be like, this is probably as accurate as your so-called psychic or etc. But then I'm also, those ones that are claiming that, are also claiming that Sebastian Rogers walked out his home without shoes and is missing and lost. Now time has passed, they're like, we're not sure if he could be lost and missing, maybe time is against it, but he did walk out the house. Anyway, we can agree to disagree, but this channel will bring you that along with the reads basically. So where was I getting to? So I mentioned in that read when I did an energy check-in, one of them is quite a high ranking and has a name in the game. And apparently this guy, who apparently was mentioned, and I said something right from the beginning, there's something about the age of these two that makes me question a few things. And I also mentioned, he's probably, you know, they've probably said, we can give you some stash, you can come and chill and have a smoke or whatever. And it seems to be the case. I know that the investigators went back to the Airbnb apparently 2 days ago or 3 days ago, because, you know, just through from mails checking. That's probably to check if they could find traces of drugs, maybe see if they can find traces of blood. But as far as we know, Jay communicated after leaving that Airbnb, and he didn't say that he had been stabbed. He didn't say that he had been whatever, right? But maybe there's more to come out. But as of now, if we're disregarding Jay's past from him because he's missing, then we can't also put someone's past as a pointer that this guy has had involvement in the unaliving or the missing, and a lot of people are probably thinking the unaliving rather than missing. status of Jay, because that would not be fair. A lot of people have a name in the game, DRUG mules. And we know that it sounds like it's confirmed now. They were also into, like Jay and his friends were also into GRUGS. It's illegal. It can be said to be a crime because it's illegal. But is it a crime of what's being discussed? The element of what's being discussed. What we do know is that he did head back to their Airbnb, most likely for this stash. He probably stole something, if that's what's being said. And that's where I ask you in the comments, do you think it's a Rolex or do you think it's going to end up being DRUGS? And they're slowly going to drive down that lane, because I also feel this statement that has been released for the family from Debbie is advice from Mark Williams, and probably written from Mark Williams or helped Debbie write this. I felt it as soon as I read that, okay? And then, I might be wrong, but I think it was a few hours later, Mark Williams releases that information. Now, if you go back to my part 3 at the end, I asked, and for some reason I was called to ask that question because I felt there was something there. Did Lucy disclose a further secret to the mother around what could have happened to Jay, or who was involved, like who they were talking to, who they were involved? I don't mean in the cause of the disappearance, but energies. And the answer was yes. And then if you go to the GoFundMe part and watch that, it starts to all tie in with what's coming out in the news as well. And that's why I say watch my reads, because I don't have time to do like the shorts or the reads that says this is validated, this is validated, this is validated. If the channel was bigger, I certainly would have time, because I'd have someone that could help me additionally with that. But I wanted to put this out there because there's a couple of questions around that. So far, do we think, just based on what has just been said in terms of stealing something, and that Jay was at the Airbnb and left, that this guy Carson has had the high involvement in Jay disappearing? And was Jay scared, or was Jay just sort of, I don't want to return there because he'd stolen something, or he'd had his enough, you know? He probably, maybe he was also high. He'd taken so much that he couldn't sleep and they fell asleep. There's several stuff. And also from my very first reading, I mentioned the element of money and reward. And I've also mentioned, and still that's to come out, Lucy has a further secret. And I mentioned, of course, some of that is to protect herself, because some of it will be around GRUGS, and you're not going to want to let that story out. I'm just going to look at my notes here and try and remember what else I wanted to cover. So that's why I say check the reads out. And sometimes you might want to check them out again. Because I noticed like the last read I did already has the same number of views of maybe part 3 or something like that, which tells me a lot of people have seen the latter part and not the first part, but you want to tie it in. It's kind of like even the first read where I say someone has had him, and then I also indicated it doesn't look good, and then I did the third read to further elaborate a little bit. And so it takes you on this journey, and it also then helps you see when things are coming out in the news, how I've predicted it through my channeling, through psychic, or then through the cards. Whether it's going to be energies of conspiracy, whether it's going to be energies that are going to pan out into something. A lot of it will pan out into kind of something. So I do think that Jay being scared, leaving the Airbnb is a bit of deflection. And I want to hear your views. I'd also mentioned previous reads, the number 15 was coming to me as being significant. So that is still to watch out for. I think this is now day 18. Someone had said that there's no ravines in that area in a comment. But I've actually looked and the ravines are a bit further down. As you head towards the water, there's some ravines there. There's some ravines. Sorry, I just had a message from, if any of you have contacted me, you would know Fiona helps with the appointments. So just giving me a buzz for my time for my next energy client. Okay, so there are ravines there. They're very difficult. Like there's huge cactuses. So I do think, like I mentioned prior, it's the police, it's the professionals. Now, what's interesting, in the further statement I heard from the family, also released that day, is so Debbie Duncan, 55, reiterated her statement issued on the 2nd of July while updating people anxiously following the search efforts, posting on GoFundMe page that has raised almost 50,000. She said alongside the money for local volunteers and Mountie Rescue. So now this is kind of coming out, right? The family is also putting together a package of equipment for British searchers who have flown to Tenerife. When did that happen? Because last I knew, the family were travelling out just to be there as support. The family, the neighbour, the ex-girlfriend. Then she goes on to the bit where I said about the Spanish police here. The remaining funds will continue to be used we're currently looking after Paul Arnott, putting together a package for any equipment and essentials he needs going up to do a drop for him. Can you remember what I said in my last read about they've been helping, but they're not helping, so guys, don't keep asking them to help. I don't want them to help, I'm refusing. We are also, this is where some of you, can you enlighten me? We are also supporting Callum Fahim and his group with the accommodation and other essentials. Who's Callum? The remaining funds will continue to be used to support the rescue teams who are tirelessly searching for Jay, as well as our looking after our own expenses while we remain in Tenerife looking for our boy. Well, who is that? Because you didn't pay for the volunteers, and there's no volunteers now, and the police have called off the search. So where are these British searchers, and since when did you hire these mountain investigators or rescuers? We continue to keep you updated on the progress of our GoFundMe and progress in general on our GoFundMe page. So there should be some progress on that. You might be able to update me on what they're saying. We thank you for your continued support. Please keep sharing, supporting our fundraiser to help bring Jay home. Yes, people, let's get it to 100K. Paul Arnott, the British TikToker, Rapid Fire. You know, rapid fire is something I want to discuss in Sebastian Rogers' case. I've been wanting to say it for quite some time. Rapid Rivers, who flew to Tenerife, it doesn't say Rapid Rivers, I'm just saying Rapid Rivers, following the news that Jay had gone missing and documented his experience since landing in the Spanish island. He is among the dozen few who joined the massive search over rocky countryside last weekend. Listen, I understand he is doing a lot of work, but he's not doing it without gain. And I don't mean that just by the family supporting him. But I also wonder how big is Masca to be walking around the whole area. Police have said they've searched as much as they can. Whether they've searched enough in the ravines, I think that could be easily missed with the huge cactus, and dogs can't get in there. I think it's extremely dangerous. I think they're going to have protective clothing for their face. You know, do you know those, something similar to, you know, the people that go to the beehives and they have to have like the I think it's going to have to be like that. While Miss Duncan has praised Spanish police participating in the operation, Mr. Arnott has been critical and said it's been a massive PR thing, which we saw. Oh, you didn't see it, but it's on his TikTok. You didn't see it in my read, but I discussed it. So guys, I've been literally waiting for absolutely ages now. This is a massive PR thing, I'm telling you. There's people everywhere, literally. People everywhere. Nobody's doing anything. He kept saying it about a lot of his TikTok. And because I checked it after I did that read. Yesterday I checked it. I was going to do a read taking clips of what I saw. One of them was like, so I'm going to get my breakfast now and then I'll come back and start the search. Well, you've just said that you've been wasting your morning. You've wasted your morning all your morning, yet you're going to get your breakfast now. Why didn't you ask the police, can I go get some breakfast while we're doing this? And then you're coming back to start your search. He was moaning it's already really hot. And then he comes back and he's like, so guys, I'm really, really stressed. It was so embarrassing. Let me know if you've seen this TikTok. So embarrassing. I took a bite of my burger and I spit it out because I felt sick. I feel so stressed. I'm just going to leave and start searching or something like that. And I just thought, some people might not see some people would have seen the TikToks, have not realised, but now things are drilling in as you see my readings maybe, or as we discuss it. Some people still won't see what I mean, okay? And I'm not slating him or anything, but you'll see my reads and see if it connects and what's coming out. Okay. Then look at, so with the mum's statement, what have I noticed here? What have I written? Yeah, so again, I really recommend you check all the reads up to now and see how it all ties in. There's a lot more that's been in my reads that's been validated. If you're enjoying the content on the channel, please consider subscribing, liking. I do put a lot of work in the channel. I am a one person. I've been putting work into the channel for quite some time, the past couple of years, and it's been a bit hard because some of the cases are sensitive names, and so it's not always pushed in the algorithm. I do not get anything from YouTube, so if you're enjoying the content, you can subscribe, you can comment, you can like. If you're not, you don't have to. So there's no need for stupid comments of like, I don't know, I sometimes get people that are like, someone will leave a toxic comment and I might ask politely, and then I might mention in a reading that if you're leaving your view, can we just be respectful for everyone? And then suddenly I'll get a message on that video that will say, if you're gonna not let us view, put our opinion or basically share their view, how they want to share it, why should they give a like if they've enjoyed the read, is basically my question back. So they've enjoyed the read, but why should I give you a like if you're not going to let me comment? You can comment, but can we do it in a respectful way? And the way it came across to me is, why should I like? I'm not begging anyone to like. No one's paying me on here, you know, so it's only the case of if you're enjoying the content and you'd like to support the channel so that I can dedicate more time and I can try and do more, and obviously what comes through, whether it's through super thanks, which can maybe buy me a little brew while I do your content, or whether it can be put towards maybe getting another tarot deck, putting more money, putting more sort of a little bit on the side so that I can maybe add the time to do, I don't know, a further read, get a tarot deck that maybe one wants for this. Do you know what I mean? People need to live. So it's the case of, it's not the case of anything. It's if you enjoy the channel and would like to support it, consider subscribing, sharing, commenting, engaging. I always answer everyone. If you're on a live and I'm there, I always say hi. If you say hi to me, I'll always respond, and I'm always saying hi. If I don't respond, I'm not there. I will always respond, acknowledge everybody. So you can also share it. You can also give a super thanks under each video, which is a little thanks. You can choose the donation. There's also a PayPal to support the channel for the readings that you've liked, and keep a lookout for the community page. Sometimes I post it on there. I used to post, hardly anyone notices it. If you subscribe, you're not getting the notifications, but your notifications are on. Unsubscribe, then directly subscribe again. Make sure you get the notifications. If you're not, let me know in a comment if you are a subscriber. Again, a lot of the stuff is for subscribers. A lot of the votes on videos is for subscribers. The amount of people that I have as returning viewers, the same returning viewers, is at 80%. And those viewers are returning to watch all the content, not just one, all the content. And that's up to you. I don't know why you're not supporting. Maybe it's because you think there's financial reward. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. And just like we support our local coffee shop, or we support somebody that has given us something, it's energy exchange, you know. And also, I'd like to see what you think of this current status of this case. You can also, did I say donate via PayPal? But really just kindness, comments, engaging, and like I said, on the lives. Also, if you discuss stuff on the lives and you leave me a question, it might not pop up in the comments. So I've popped up on a couple of lives because I try to check the sound and make sure it's okay, although I check it when I'm processing it. And I make that a safe place for the subscribers, because I think the subscribers I have are very much that we want the solution to this read, or we're interested in this read. There's a reading coming up on Sarah Boone. It's a US trial that will go forward. There's also other reads that you might be interested in. There's also the tarot reads, and if you're a subscriber and you want your tarot reading as well, please let me know, because it's kind of trying to juggle the time. But make sure you support the subjects that you like with a comment, and letting me know, because if I'm covering something with a lot of energy and there's not enough views and likes, then it makes me question if my energy there is required or not. I hope that makes sense, and I mean it in the most respectful, heartfelt way. But what do you think of what we've just discussed right now? I think there won't be any further sudden changes between now and I process it. Well, there might be some mayhem going on. I certainly see that if you add a little sugar and spice, I probably could have got to 50k with my reads. But I just can't do that, especially when I'm dealing with souls, I'm dealing with families. And I know a lot of people just do that, and they have been the people that win in the game, I guess. So everyone, take care, give the other reads a chance as well. You might be interested in them if you're into crime. A most recent subscriber, I I really appreciate that you've taken notice of the community post, and I just wanted to put that out there. If you're a subscriber or if you make a comment and your username is there and I can read it, so there was a I don't know if they were a subscriber because I haven't checked, that put a really sensible comment and clarified some of the noise in my last read, and their name was a name and then loads of letters and stuff, so I would have maybe just said the name regardless if it's the true name or not, but I like to acknowledge. So if you want me to acknowledge you by your username, keep it the way it is, but if you want me to acknowledge you by initials, a fake name, a real name, whatever it is, just put it at the end of the comments, especially if you're someone that engages all the time. That's what I will always use because I respect privacy. So everyone, take care. Let me know, because you guys are up to date, what has come through. Let me know your thoughts and check out the reads. I promise you there's stuff that's coming. I've mentioned the phone so many times from my first read. And I know a fellow psychic had put on my comments that he believes the phone is going to be significant because of contacts that are in there when they check it. I also believe it's beyond that. I believe that, you know, it was to do with the GPS, the pinging, further communication on the phone, and still phone stuff, and even when they find the phone, further stuff, or even that he tried to charge his phone. A lot around phone, digital communication, footprints, anything to do with phone has been planning out since the first time I did the read. When did I do my first read? Was it 2 weeks ago? So a lot is panning out. Take care, everyone. I need to get some water, and I hope you have a beautiful evening. And again, to anyone who's tuning in from the US, please let me know if you're tuning in, because I'm not sure if you are. Happy Independence Day, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Anyone else in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Have a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.